Hello, everyone. My name is Taylor Spicer. I'm the Programs Coordinator for Emory's Office of Sustainability Initiatives. And in this webinar, I'm going to give you an overview of some of the institutional commitments to the place you will now live and learn, as well as give you some advice and programs and resources that help you figure out your place in the Emory sustainability ecosystem. So just briefly about our office, we are a part of the Emory administration, which means that we work with both the Emory University and all of its campuses, as well as the healthcare system and all the clinics and research labs that are affiliated with that network. We work at all different levels and try to help folks integrate sustainability into decision making at all levels. And we do that mainly by trying to convene those that are decision makers and collaborate where we can to continue moving the work forward. We are a very small office for such a big charge. We have 4 full-time staff and do hire 5 to 10 interns each semester, including many Rollins students that are real or non-real. And really, Emory has had a long-standing commitment to sustainability in the realm of higher education. We became a part of the strategic plan in 2005. Sustainability was identified then as something they wanted to devote resources to, and our office was established in 2006. About 10 years of work happened. Many great things were accomplished, but there was much more work to do. So we are now following a second 10-year vision, which you can check out on our website. There are over 70 goals that we're pursuing as the enterprise in all realms of sustainability, including some related to public health and how we interact with the community around us. And in that vision, you'll see our definition of sustainability. And I hope you'll notice it is centered around quality of life for those that are here now and those that are here that will come in the future. And so it's a little bit different than some of the definitions of sustainability. So I hope you'll take time to check that out. And in all the years that we have been operating, Emory continues to be one of the leaders in sustainability in higher education. You'll notice here that we are number 5 among American colleges and universities ranking, and we're 24 overall, and we continue to do more work in hopes of moving up in the ranks and doing better work across campus and throughout the hospital system. And really, there are many reasons why the university itself committed to so many sustainability goals, but we recognize that the impacts of the actions that we have here are wide-reaching, and really the impacts of something like climate change are really inequitable. So what you see here is a global display of the vulnerability index, so how climate change is predicted to affect human populations. And you'll see that the United States, relative to other areas of the world like Africa and Southeast Asia, are not predicted to have as much of an effect on our population. So keep that in mind for later. And here in Atlanta, one indicator of some of the issues that we face are air pollution. For those who are from here, you're very familiar with the car-centric culture that we have. But really, one of the consequences of that is not often talked about is the inequitable effects on public health for those of different races in our community. So in areas with high pollution, they are more likely to be non-white, and those of lower pollution are more likely to be white neighborhoods. So it's something we as the institution don't want to contribute to, is the impacts of some of these environmental health factors that we do have some control over. So I'll tell you some of the programs that we have focused on to reduce some of that impact. And to take on some of these sustainability goals, we have a pretty broad program that's really comprehensive, we think, and focusing on green buildings, green spaces, commutes, food, waste, curriculum and research, health and well-being, climate action, and many more. And we recognize that we aren't able to do that work without forming many community partnerships. So as you're thinking about your practicums, if you think of any sustainability related work you want to get into or want to connect with any of these partners, I hope you'll reach out. And one of the exciting things that's happened in February of this year is that the Greater Atlanta area was recognized by the United Nations as a regional center of expertise for education on sustainable development. So what that means is that we are now a member of a global network, which you'll see here, all of the RCEs around the globe. We are now the 5th in the United States. And so the groups all focus on trying to implement the Sustainable Development Goals locally. The ones circled here are the ones that the UN RCE for Greater Atlanta identified as the main areas they want to focus on. So Emory, Georgia Tech, and Spelman were the ones to submit the application, but we have many more university partners as well as municipal partners and nonprofits, which you may recognize here there. In total, we have about 200 diverse stakeholders as well as a youth network. So there is the broader network, and also within that network is a focused youth network that really wants to engage current students and recent graduates in the work of trying to implement these goals locally. So if you see an opportunity here and want to be a part of the youth network, I hope you'll also let me know. And so I just want to go into a little bit of how Emory as the institution is already making some progress in some of the sustainability goals, sustainable development goals here. So in the areas of climate action, affordable and clean energy, want to give a little bit more background. So if you remember back to the beginning of the presentation when I showed the climate change vulnerability index, that was really showing who is most affected. And here you see the biggest emitters in the world. So when you align those on a map, you will see some big disparities. Those that emit the most are the ones predicted to be least affected by climate change. And that's not something we are just going to accept. So we have actually established the entire Cliff shuttle system. So in about 2008, this came online. It's a free shuttle system that anyone can use. CDC folks from our hospitals around us and neighboring areas, anyone can use it for free, which I hope you will. We also invest in clean energy when we can. For those from the South and Georgia, you'll know there are some legislative hurdles that we've had to overcome, but now we do have 4 solar panel installations on campus, and we actually have a geothermal project going in on McDonough Field, which we hope to basically use the heat from the earth to partially power the new Campus Life Center, which will be open in the middle of campus in about a year. And we also focus on behavior change programs and hope that within our spaces we can encourage folks to consider the energy that they use, because when you're here in Georgia, most of the energy that is burned is from nuclear gas or coal. Nuclear is also a pretty prominent piece there. So we want to be more conscientious about how we use our energy. So Emory has set out some goals here: 50% energy reduction per square foot by 2025. That's a big goal there, and to self-generate 10% of energy by 2025 also. So I've just noted some of the renewable energy and energy efficiency programs that we have. One of the big reasons we do this is because we want to have less reliance on fossil fuels and to encourage overall reduction of consumption of these fuels. And when we do that, we have better air quality and fewer greenhouse gas emissions, and hopefully, in consequence, a reduced public health burden. So one of the ways that the programs that you can take advantage of is this Graduate Student Sustainable Commute Incentives Program. This is its 2nd year in operation. So if you commute to campus by a bike, or if you get dropped off, or if you walk, you are eligible for a 20-swipe MARTA ride pass for free. We also have an on-campus cycling repair store. So it's all student run, and you can show up, tell them your issue, and they will help you fix your bike together. So it's not that they just fix it for you. You can actually learn a little something about your bike. And in the area of clean water and sanitation, again, those from the area may be familiar with this. Atlanta is a region of paradoxes. We are very drought prone, but we are also very prone to flooding in specific areas. And so with these flooding episodes especially, we find that the water quality of our watershed is once again inequitably affecting different communities. So in the metro region, those upstream tend to be a little bit wealthier, and then as you move through the watershed, those on our west side and south side tend to receive the pollution runoff from the rest of the city. And so this bottom picture here is a cleanup from the west side of Proctor Creek. And so we as the institution recognize that stormwater management is critical, but also water use reduction is the other key. So here is a technology that I hope some of you become very familiar with. This is the Water Hub at Emory. It is the first of its kind in the nation. It is a water reclamation facility that takes sewer water from parts of our campus and parts of the CDC's campus and utilizes biomimicry, so processes that are found in nature that we've emulated here and engineered specifically for the purpose of cleaning that sewer water to be used for utilities water. So you're not drinking this water, but we are using it to heat and cool a lot of Emory's buildings. And we do offer some tours, so I'll give you some more info on that. But we also put a lot of focus on stormwater management. So this bottom picture is a stream buffer planting event that we invited students and staff out to Lull Water, which hopefully you'll get to know. It's a park right on campus. And we are planting pollinator plants in stream bank buffers. So these plants have multiple benefits. They do help slow and clean the runoff from most of our campus and Clifton Road, which runs right through campus. And it also helps prevent erosion, and then it also enhances pollinator habitat. So there are multiple benefits there. So these are the types of programs we really want to do more of. And our goal related to water stewardship is to reduce our water use by 50% by 2025. And you'll see within our buildings and in our landscaping, there are multiple features and just very clear choices that are made to reduce water around campus and water use around campus, as well as some green infrastructure projects that help with stormwater management. We do have quite a few green roofs, some you may never notice, but they are tucked around campus, as well as bioswales, which do something similar to the stream bank buffer. They help slow runoff, clean it, and then are quite nice landscaping features. Hopefully you'll spot some of those. And we really do this and hope that you as an individual will do this to conserve one of the most precious resources we all need. But it also, again, is a social justice issue. If we don't maintain the quality of our watersheds, it affects our downstream neighbors. And then we just want to model the practices that we can and tell this story and hope that our neighbors adopt these types of infrastructure projects. For those interested in visiting the Water Hub to learn more about its impact, because it is a facility that allows us to reduce Emory's total water use by about 40%, which is pretty huge. We do offer weekly public tours, and I also train students to lead those tours, so if that's something you're interested in. And Christine Moe has led classes that do water quality testing there as well. Not sure if she is this year, but that has happened in the past. And then just to go into a few more areas of our work that really touch on multiple sustainable development goals, I want to first talk about food. I'm sure many of you are familiar with some of the common features of a conventional food system that we now have in the United States. Very input heavy, affects our environment negatively in many ways, as well as the people that are growing and processing the food that we produce. So here we are creating our own systems as well as building relationships to try to move back to a food system that is healthy and supports communities, supports the local economy, and protects the environment. So this first picture is our farmer educator, Daniel Parson, who works on the Oxford campus, where we have a 2.5 acre organic farm. So Daniel's produce is sent to our dining halls. He also has a stand at our weekly farmers market, which is held on campus every Tuesday, 11 to 3. Most Rollins students never come to know it, but I hope you'll cross the bridge to Asbury Circle and Cox Hall and check it out. We have over 25 vendors that are local farmers and producers. And then Daniel also offers a community-supported agriculture program, which is a weekly vegetable subscription program. You pay, I think it's $32.50 per week, and you get a delivery of organic vegetables to campus that you pick up. And then finally, there is a program that we run called the Educational Garden Project. And we have 10 different small garden plots where you learn organic gardening techniques. And Rollins has its own and has been run by the Rollins Environmental Health and Action Committee, REHAC. So if that's something that sounds like a good fit for you, I hope you'll reach out to them. Anything that the volunteers grow, they are able to take home, as well as learn that skill. And so food is actually an area in which Emory has a lot to be proud of. As an institution, we have had the commitment to source up to in hopes of sourcing up to 75% local or sustainable food by 2025. We first adopted this really ambitious goal in 2005 with the 2015 goal deadline, but turns out it's much harder to be a part of transforming a food system. So we're continuing to pursue that goal. We're right around 40%. And that means whatever food you purchase from the Rollins Cafe, from the Duckling, from Cox Hall, and from a place on the Claremont campus, all of that on average is about 40% local or sustainable food. So to complement the institution's commitment, we have started and now run quite a few education programs. So the farmers market is both an education program and an accessibility program. The Oxford Farm is something similar, the Educational Gardens Project. And then we have some food recovery work on campus. So there is a student group that works with our dining halls to capture whatever they can to repurpose and then give to area shelters and food banks. And we also, on the purchasing side, purchase what we call imperfectly delicious fruit. So at the farming level, many farmers will assess the produce that they gather, and if there are imperfections, bumps, just anything that might be unappealing to a consumer, they may leave it in the farm or just compost it. But that's perfectly delicious fruit and food, so we are able to actually purchase some of those from farmers and use them in soup stocks and things like that. And then we've done a really great job of working within the regional food system that we have and building partnerships to consistently source grass-fed ground beef, pasture-raised eggs, lots of organic and certified naturally grown produce. So I hope you feel encouraged to check out the food here at Emory. It's probably not like it was at your undergraduate university if you had any experience like me. So I hope you'll take time to get to know the food system here. And then we also do make a point to give all of the food service workers the living wage at Emory. So I feel good knowing that. And again, we do this to really encourage more investment in the regional agricultural economy. Historically, the South has been a very agriculture-centric economy, and we need to get back to that, but in the right way. And then we also hope that by understanding and engaging with these types of programs and the institution's commitment, that you yourself will want to make more of these decisions that support people and the environment and those that are around us. Because food is a political decision you make every day. So I mentioned a few of these ways to eat well, eat at our dining halls and things. Go to the farmers market, check out the Educational Garden Project, and then subscribe to the CSA if you're interested. So waste is something, once you make it to campus, you'll become very aware of the fact that Emory commits as an institution. And we do so for many reasons. So some of you may be familiar with the impacts of landfills in terms of the environment. They are also a social justice issue. If you look around our nation, the sites of landfills are very commonly found in more lower income, resource poor, majority minority neighborhoods. So the more we send trucks with loads of landfill trash, the more we are affecting the community's public health and their mainly respiratory issues that they have related to that. And so Emory, as the institution, is really pursuing some, yet again, ambitious goals in hopes of reducing our landfill waste diversion, like increasing our landfill waste diversion rate to 95% by 2025. And we recognize that a huge part of reaching that goal is focusing on all of the many university events that we have. I'm sure you will partake in many and enjoy them, but what we need to also focus on is the impact of those. So whatever we produce at those events needs to be recycled or composted in the proper way, and then when we can, reduce waste up front. So we also have a plastic bottle goal to reduce, to completely eliminate them from campus events as well. So you'll see some of the positives here of the new waste policy that we implemented in January of this year. So when you come to campus, all of the bins on the interiors and in the exteriors, so outside of our buildings, will look the same with the same signs, same colors. So once we go through the parts of the system, I hope you'll feel comfortable with knowing where to throw your waste here. And there are many benefits to that. That what we compost properly is turned into soil amendments rather than going to landfills where it is often turned into methane, which is a potent greenhouse gas. And then recycled materials can be turned into other materials instead of sourcing new and extracting more from the earth. So the system itself, we have developed a 5-stream system inside of our buildings. For compost, we have green bins and green signs, and so what you'll want to put in there mainly is all of your food. The to-go containers that they look like fiber, that's what's given out at Rollins and then the Cox Hall dining areas. You'll want to throw all of that in the compost so that it can be turned into soil. So anything that was once living should go into the compost. Plastics and metals, you'll see here the note is that it's the default for recycling. So really anything that you know is inorganic that you have a question about should go into this plastics and metals. And we try to include the most common items. So any of the lids from your coffee drinks, aluminum, plastic, office supplies. And then something that's fairly unique to Emory is that we collect mylar, which is the material for your chip bags and your granola bar wrappers. And then a few plastic bags if you have them. Please don't collect 50 of them and shove them in our bins. But what happens to those materials that can't be remade into anything else? They are actually separated at our vendors recycling center. And they're collected and they are burned, and the heat from burning those is actually used to partially run the facility. So of course that's not the ultimate solution. The best solution would be not to have such disposable products, but that's the nature of how things are transported and distributed these days. So that's the solution that we have. So that's the story behind the plastics and metals mixed paper. We have the most common types of materials listed here. If you have small cardboard, you can also throw it in there. White paper is a commodity, so it's actually one of the few streams here that Emory can make a little bit of money off of, so please separate that when you can. And then you'll notice here, the only thing that should be going in our landfill bins is food grade styrofoam. So if you happen to go to Chick-fil-A and get a cup, you'll want to toss it in the landfill. But you will not be able to purchase any styrofoam on campus because it is banned. So I hope that if you do end up planning events on campus, you will keep that in mind and ask anyone who caters your event to leave the styrofoam behind. And we also have a system to collect what we have named hard to recycle materials. So on this orange sign you see here, in that white box, there will actually be listed the closest hard to recycle materials station, so you know the location. And if you have glass, which is unfortunately now a hard to recycle material, batteries, ink and toner cartridges, any bulbs, non-food styrofoam packaging. So that's more actually a better quality, a higher grade of styrofoam, so it's something that can be recycled. And then aerosol cans, you can take them all to these locations. And I think Rollins has two, don't quote me on that, but check out the orange signs for the locations. And for those looking to get more involved on campus in the area of sustainability, I hope you'll consider an internship with our office. Currently, we have a behavior change program that is run by a graduate student as well as a communications and marketing position. So those are available. We do offer small grants. I run a small grants program, so you can apply for up to $3,000 to implement research projects, a program, start your own initiative in the area of sustainability and social justice. And so those applications are open until September 30th. If you work in an office or a lab, we have programs to encourage sustainable behaviors there. For those planning events, there's the Sustainable Events Program checklist link. And then I mentioned the Educational Gardens Project. REHAC is also a great group. There is a forming environmental justice student group to look out for, as well as the Emory Climate Analysis and Solutions team. So that's actually a group of undergrads and graduates that work with staff and faculty to do research and outreach around climate analysis and solutions for different areas of campus and the community. So check those out. If you want to stay in touch with our office, you can see our weekly newsletter link here. We're on social media. But one last message, no matter if you're a registered voter in Georgia, if you're registered in another state, I hope you will consider voting in the midterm elections that we have coming up. Emory, in presidential election years, voter turnout is around 47.9%. That's for undergrads and graduates, which is a couple percentage points below the national average. When you look at the off years, so the midterm election years, like the one we have now, Emory's voter turnout rate is 17.9%. And I think we can do a little bit better than that. So if you want to register in Georgia for this upcoming election, you'll see the registration deadline is October 9th and the actual election day is November 6th. So I hope you'll take time to figure that out. And if you need to look at your state's deadlines, I hope you'll do that. But that's all that I have. So if you have questions, I hope you will reach out. And thank you for listening.